Good evening and welcome to another episode of Que-stead-Que. What you gonna do? I don't know, but something's gonna grow. Well, you guys, I am back and we are getting ready to start the chess pie. First of all, the one thing I haven't done is melted my butter. So let's get that done. And we're starting with, this will be pie number 1. I'll only be filming that. So let me stick this. I always melt in the microwave. And I'm using the special Land O'Lakes for this. And I don't melt it all the way. I just melt it enough to soften it really good because you want it to blend really well. So I put it usually on about 15 seconds. Oh, and it's melting up nicely. Just about there. Okay, we are there. I actually let it go 30 seconds. And it melted up perfectly. You want it to be, for cakes you want it to be softened, but for this you want it liquidy because you want it to blend well. And I learned that in the past making chess pies. If it's not liquidy like this, then it will not blend well when you make up your mixture, and that butter might sit to one side of the pie. Let me wash my hands again because I just touched my face. Okay, so you want it to blend well. Okay, so I brought out this is my / garden journal / recipe book / what else? Something else I put in here. Oh, / notebook and seed book. Oh, and I also have my preps. And that's one thing I never mentioned in the prep video, so I'll mention it now for those of you who watch this. If you're starting with prepping or if you prep, always keep your inventory. I write down my inventory. I wrote the date that I purchased it so I don't have to go into the prep closet and look to see, I have it right here in the book. I can just go to the book and see how long, I've had it. And then if I'm going to use them, which you do when you rotate, you want to, it's just easier for me to refer to the book. Okay, so the chess pie recipe is in here. So here's your recipe. First of all, you're going to start off. I don't make my own crust. I buy the Pillsbury, and I've always bought the deep dish crust because if I buy the regular, one chess pie fills it to the top and it always spills over in the oven. So by buying the deep dish, it doesn't fill up all the way, but it still rises pretty much to the top. Sometimes it doesn't all the time, but it's still good nevertheless. So what you do is you partially unthaw the crust, and then you stab your little fork holes at the bottom of the crust to make sure it doesn't bubble up. And I usually hit a few on each side too. And then you bake it for 7 minutes without browning. And what that does is it gives the crust a head start on cooking, because you want that crust to be done just like you want the pie to be done once it's done. So your ingredients are as follows. 3 eggs, so we're going to get those cracked. And I'm going to set the book right here so I can look at it. I know the recipe by heart, but I have forgotten things before, so I just always refer to my recipe. Okay, so you're going to start with your eggs. I always crack my eggs in a bowl. My mother, that's where I got that from. My late mother, she never cracked her eggs right into something. And because she said, if you do it, you're going to get an egg with blood. And she was a stickler about eggs with blood. So she always cracked her eggs. And then if she got a shell in it or whatever, it would be easier to get it out with just 1 egg as opposed to more than one. Let me get a bowl. We'll use this. Y'all know what that's for. Compost. Okay, so we have a good egg here, so we're going to put this egg in. Now we're going to crack egg number 2. And I have played around with this recipe. Since I'm making 2 pies, I have doubled up the mixture so that I can get both done at the same time. But it doesn't, I don't think the pie is as good when I do that. So I just do them one at a time because it only takes a few minutes. Okay, and here's egg number 3. And all eggs were good. And I'm going to just set this bowl to the side because when I make mixture number 2, I will be cracking eggs again. Your next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of milk. So I have that already here. This is my 1/4 cup of milk. You pour that in. And I'm going to set that back there. Your next ingredient, this calls for 1 1/4 cup of sugar. That's too much for me. It is too sweet for me. And then even my sister and others that I have made chess pies for have said that, you know, it's a little on the sweet side, although good. I hate something that's too sweet. So I'm the one who actually doctored this. I just use 1.5 cups of sugar. In fact, I don't even have 1.5 cups. I have it written down. I put 1 1/3 cups of sugar. That's what I use. And wait, this is my favorite time of year. My mother, this was her good measuring cup, as she called it. And she only used it during the holidays. And she and my brother were the only 2 who were allowed to touch it because my mother used to give him the run of the kitchen. My brother, he was an excellent cook and even a better baker. Every year he would make us chocolate chip cookies. He made chess mix. He would make a cake. My mother, from Thanksgiving on, he had the run of the kitchen. Whatever his heart desired, he would tell Mom, go get such and such, or he would go, because at the time he had started working. He would come home with ingredients, and whatever he wanted to bake, he was allowed to bake. He didn't, no questions asked, because he loved sweets. My mother loves sweets, and we all love sweets, okay? So, as you can see, that's why I'm fat, okay? But anyway, this was Mama's special cup, her good cup, as she called it. And only she and my brother were allowed to touch it. It's a Fire King. You know, that's an old name. Okay, so anyway, I'm pouring the sugar in. And since the cup is now sacred, I better be careful. Okay, I'm going to just set it here because I'll need to fill it up again for round 2. Then the next ingredient is 1 tablespoon, and trust the process, y'all, for a chess pie. And for y'all old schoolers who know about chess pies, I say 1 tablespoon, although the actual ingredient is for 1 teaspoon of cornmeal, but I always use a tablespoon because I love cornmeal. And I usually go with the yellow cornmeal, so I have that all measured out. I'm just scooping it up because it settles to the top of the pie after it cooks, and it has that cornmeal-y top. And it is delicious. Okay, so here's my tablespoon. So I'm putting that in. Actually, there's a little more there, but I'm going to leave it. Well, no, I'm going to scoop it up. So I have a little more than a tablespoon. You can kind of play around with this too. Okay, and again, trust the process because here's the next ingredient. You need 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Let me make sure. Yep, 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Trust the process. It goes into the pie. So I have my vinegar here. So let's get that measured out. And I always pour that over the sink. Okay, here's our teaspoon. Whoops. Okay, I spilled some of it, but not much. Okay, that's our teaspoon of vinegar. And the 5 tablespoons, which is right here, you use 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Set that in the measuring cup so I don't have to wash it. Well, I'll rinse it. Okay, so now I'm adding the melted butter. And I have my special spatula to let it snow. Okay, so that is going in. And you want to get every bit of this butter into the mixer. Okay. And there's a little there, so let's tap it. Okay. And last but not least, the star of the show. It says 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And y'all know me. Let me rinse this right now. I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, because you know that. Okay, so my vanilla is actually ready. It should have actually been ready early January. This is my 2-year vanilla made with Bacardi rum. And then my Kirk and Sweeney will be a year old in January. Oh, here's something else, y'all. And I'm telling y'all this. Buy your vanilla beans right now. Right now. Because that is if you make your own homemade vanilla. Or use vanilla beans for any other type of recipe. The crop was bad this year in Madagascar. I saw the news report the other day. The crop was bad, and they said that the price is going to go up. And they said that they blame global warming. In Madagascar, it got too hot, and you know with vanilla beans, they have to be hand pollinated, and they must be pollinated within a day once the bloom comes out. Well, a lot of them died, and the crop, they got very little this year. So therefore, the price of vanilla is already high. It's about to soar. So I'm getting ready because, you know, I hadn't planned on making any more, not for a while. I'm getting ready to make another Kirk and Sweeney batch. And I'm not using that $50 one. That was the 24-year Kirk and Sweeney. I'm going to use the 12-year Kirk and Sweeney. And then they also have an 18-year Kirk and Sweeney. So the 12-year Kirk and Sweeney, the bottle of that cost about $20. And then $30 for the 18-year, and then $50 for the 24-year. And so anyway, so I took and poured from that quart of vanilla, I poured a 1/2 pint. I put a couple of vanilla beans in. And remember, you guys, if you're ever using your vanilla, you probably already know this, but I'm going to let you know for those of you who may decide to make vanilla. Once you start using your vanilla, you always make sure you have to keep your vanilla beans that's in your either quart or pint or whatever size jar you're using. You must keep them submerged because they will mold. So the vanilla beans that I added to this, I cut them down with my chef scissors or whatever you call them. These, okay? I cut them down, and then even in the quart jar, I have vanilla beans sticking up above the liquid that I left in there. So I cut those down to where they would submerge to keep the vanilla good. You don't want your investment to go to waste. So here's a teaspoon, and it smells so good, y'all. And this is my first chest pie with my own homemade vanilla. So let's get that in there. Actually, maybe I shouldn't be adding more because this is some strong stuff, but I'm going to still do a teaspoon and a half. Okay. And let's put this on. And I use wax paper to, when I put my top on, that just keeps it a little cleaner and neater. Okay, so let me rinse this because I will be using it again. And that is it, you guys. Okay, now that is done. Okay, now that is done, you blend it well. So we're going to turn on the mixer, and it's not going to take but a minute. And you do it, you just fold it. You don't have to do it on high. You just make sure that it's blended well. I'm going to turn it on 1. Well, 2. Okay, I have it on 2. Okay, so it's blending. And then after it's finished blending, then I will pour it into the first pie crust. Okay, we're just about done here. Hold on, I see some butter on the side of the thing. Okay, I got it. Got it. I don't want nothing to go to waste. Turn it down. Okay. And what I look for to know that it's blended well enough, okay, it is done. What I look for is, I look for the sugar granules and the cornmeal granules to mix in. When I don't see granules at the top, I know that it's mixed pretty good. Okay, so now let me move this to the side because I need to bring the cookie sheet over here so that I can pour this mixture in. And this is cooled down now. Another thing, this is just a tip. I don't do it, but you may want to do it, or it might be something that you already do. A lot of people, to keep from burning their crust around the edges, they'll take tinfoil and go around the edge of the crust so that the crust won't burn. But I don't do it because usually I'm keeping a good eye on it. I'll set my timer. In fact, let me get that out right now. I usually use 2 because sometimes, you know, timers can fail. And these are in the windowsill, so they're cold. So I'm going to use my chicken or hen, and I'm going to use my happy face. Okay, so I'm going to set both of these. Actually, I have 2 times here, or not 2 times. I got 2 temperatures. You can bake it at either 350 or 375. Because I preheated my oven about 2 hours ago, I'm going to bake mine at 350. And so you can bake at either or, depending on your oven. I have a double oven, and I bake it on the top tier. I don't use my bottom tier oven because I don't like to bend. And with my health and everything, the top tier is perfect. I don't have to bend at all. And then I have my trusty. I bought this at Value World years ago. It's a religious oven puller, you know, where you pull your oven open. And so this just works perfectly for my oven. So I have that ready, and I don't have to touch anything and get burned. Okay, so now I usually let the mixture set for a minute or 2 before I get ready to pour it, just to let it settle a little bit. So we're going to pour this one into the first pie. And as you can see with the deep dish, this is perfect. And it will not spill over, but just in case it does, we have the foil-laden cookie sheet. And we scrape. I usually scrape the bowl because I want all that sugar and the rest of the mixture. Ooh, and I can smell the vanilla. I can't wait to taste it to see how the chess pie tastes with homemade vanilla versus store-bought, because I've always used the Watkins vanilla, and I almost pulled that down, and because I was like, why do I want to mess up now when I know that the chess pie will be perfect with the Watkins? Then I thought, nope, no, I'm using my homemade. That's got to be better. Okay, so this one is ready, so we're going to set this over here. And as you know, I'm getting ready to make up pie number 2. Hold on. Don't want to mess up. Y'all know I don't have counter space, so. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm getting ready to end this. Okay, so this took 19 minutes, not bad. Okay, I'm getting ready to end this I'll be making pie number 2. So you've seen the gist, you have the recipe. So I hope that you all try this recipe. It's very good. Very, very good. And instead of milk, a lot of people use buttermilk. And I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe it's then called a buttermilk pie. Because you have buttermilk pie, you have chess pie, and and then you have egg pie. And they're all in the same family, and they all have a similar taste. But I like the chess pie. That's the one that I like to make. But I think that if you substitute the whole milk with buttermilk, then you will have a buttermilk pie. It's the same concept. Those of you who know, let me know in the comments. Okay, so we're going to end this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you tried chess pie. Let me know if you plan to do so. And if you do, share the video so that I can see it. And slap your 5 for doing it. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. And may God bless you all. Bye-bye.